What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of The 8 Below Show. Welcome everyone to 8 Below. Thanks for being here, guys, to the best entertainment related show here on YouTube. And I'm super excited about our episode here today. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get into it. We've been talking on the YouTube channel, guys, quite regularly at this point about Phase 5, and I'm super excited about this recruitment challenge, and it's one of those challenges that I'm going to be going for. This will be the first time on this YouTube channel that we would ever go or have gone for a recruitment challenge for a big esports organization, or really just gaming organization in general. And so I'm extremely excited about the opportunity to even go for Phase 5 in the first place. Can't wait till it actually ends up coming out. It's hard to say when. It says 2020, so it should be this year, obviously, guys. We've heard this before, and hopefully they stick to it and we're able to get a Phase 5 maybe this summer of 2020. But with that being said, guys, I want to talk in this first segment of the show about everything that we want out of Phase 5, or really what we want in Phase 5. So let's get into it. Guys, some of the things that I may, give all of you as far as, my opinions, I'd love to hear yours. You may share similar opinions as me, but if you don't, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. So at number one, guys, for me, Phase 5, I think it's really important that this recruitment challenge sticks to the traditions of what has made it so great in the past. So we've had up to this point a couple of those Phase 5 recruitment challenges, as well as like a Phase 1 recruitment challenge, which essentially, guys, they pick up 5 players, and typically it's trick shotters and snipers within the Call of Duty community. I think it's important that they stick to those traditions, but I do think that they should expand upon those a little bit. They should certainly still be trying to pick up trick shotters and snipers to Phase, but I also think having other games involved is going to be really important as far as the growth is concerned of Phase 5. We do know that the last Phase 5 video that went out, that of an announcement of Phase 5 that it was coming, was with Phase Banks, Phase Rain, and Phase Adapt, and they all said that the next Phase 5 was going to be all based around Fortnite, and then of course that video got removed, and we never saw the light. It never saw the light of day as far as Phase 5 based around Fortnite. However, I do think that that's possible here, but I do think it needs to stick to the traditions of what made Phase 5 so great in the first place. Number 2, guys, I think that it needs to be a multi-game based recruitment challenge. So what I mean, guys, is having Call of Duty as like the forefront, but also having Fortnite, having maybe some other games out there. I think that's important. I would like to see something along the lines of them recruiting maybe a Call of Duty trick shotter, Call of Duty sniper, pick up a streamer, pick up a content creator or a YouTuber, and pick up like one Fortnite player or other game player. I think that would probably be the ideally for me what would satisfy me, at least. A lot of these players, though, very well might just become content creators or streamers because they're going to be playing this game. I don't think that they're necessarily going to be going recruited to the team as like a pro player necessarily. It would be more so because trick shotting was really more so a niche than anything, and sniping the same exact thing. You were just very good at that particular section or segment of Call of Duty, but you weren't necessarily considered a pro player, and a lot of those people who were recruited to Phase from Phase 5 that were trick shotters and snipers turned into personalities. So that would be kind of another big thing for me, guys. I think also when we look at Phase 5, I think something that really stands out to me that I think is really important moving into this recruitment challenge is having more rounds, more opportunity. Number one, more opportunity would be introduced based on Phase simply expanding the scope of Phase 5 to having multiple games. That basically gets more and more people involved, which of course would make this recruitment challenge could be the biggest, one of the biggest gaming events out there, guys, that people actually go for. It could be pretty big, to say the least. But I would say, guys, that this is one of those things that I think this needs to be as a community event almost. And I think that Phase, having, of course, a number of different ways that you'll be able to, try to go for this recruitment challenge, a chance at it. I think having more rounds than what they have had in the past. So typically it's like the top 100, then it goes down to like the top 50, top 25, and then, you know, they pick up the 5 best players from that kind of pool of players. And I think that they do something similar here, but I think that it should be like a top 1,000 or something along those lines where there's more people that are getting recruited, or not recruited, but more people are moving through the rounds as we go. And so typically they're picking up, you know, top 100. I think now it should be more. It gives more opportunity to more people out there. And there's probably going to be, I mean, thousands of submissions for this recruitment challenge. So I think having like a top 1,000 is going to be really important, so that they're able to really narrow it down to who really deserves to join FaZe. So I think that would be awesome as well. And then, you know, the last thing, guys, to me, I, you know, think it's really important that everyone has an equal amount of opportunity here to join FaZe. I think what's made FaZe 5 so great is you see the best, you know, trick shotters and the best snipers in the world basically show off what they've got and put their responses together, and then they go through the rounds as they get closer and closer to joining FaZe. But there's a lot of people out there that aren't really good at trick shotting. They're not really good at sniping. They're not even really good at gaming in general. I think it's important that some streamers who are just entertainers and even some content creators and YouTubers out there should also be given an equal chance. What that looks like in the form of the FaZe 5 Recruitment Challenge is hard to say, but I think there's a lot of ways that they could potentially do it. Those are pretty much the main things, guys, that I would like to see out of FaZe 5. What do you guys want to see from FaZe 5? Let me know in the comment section below. And for more FaZe 5 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. Godzilla vs. Kong is a highly anticipated movie, guys, at this point, and it's been delayed, and with, you know, rightfully so, with the pandemic that's been going on in our world. And my question here today in this segment of the show is, where is Godzilla vs. Kong? And I think it's a question that is quite valid right now, because this is a movie that many of us are very excited about. But the big thing about it is that it's slated right now for November 20th of 2020. And let me tell you, a lot of movies have been slated for later on in the year. So there's a very much so stiff competition coming in later this year and even going into 2021. So the question is where is this movie at this point? Is it going to come out and stick with the November 19th, 2020 release date? Or is it going to get pushed back a year, 6 months, even further out? It's hard to say. But I think, guys, one thing I want to kind of just bring about is kind of the question here and really get some real conversations going with all of you. So Godzilla vs. Kong, guys, this of course is the two monsters meeting, and this is going to be a real blockbuster movie. I think it's going to be one of those films that's going to be just, we're going to, you know, a popcorn movie. We sit there and we watch these two monsters clash amongst other monsters, and the monsterverse fully comes together, and we really see what they're trying to do here. And I think that's important. And you have, you know, Adam Wingard is the director here, which I'm excited to see what he brings to the table with Godzilla vs. Kong. And of course, guys, overall, the cast, the crew, I mean, just everything based around this movie is really getting me excited. But I just am I'm taking this release date with a pinch of salt, because we've seen so many movies pushed back to later on in 2020. Now, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that this movie does release in November 19th of 2020. However, I think, especially if there's a resurgence in the pandemic, you know, knock on wood, that does not happen. There's a very good chance, I think, that Godzilla vs. Kong may be pushed back even further. There also might even be a possibility that it goes directly to streaming services, which would be something very different, but it's something that could potentially happen, because we've been saying this, you know, for a while now on the YouTube channel, that I think this pandemic has really opened up the door to the possibility of movie theaters going extinct completely, whereas everything just specifically gets put onto streaming services instead of movie theaters. And a lot of production companies, they're probably thinking to themselves, well, why even, you know, bring in the third party that is the movie theaters when we can just put it directly out to our subscribers? We get, you know, paid based on the subscriptions, and it's similar to like Netflix and such. And so it's going to be very interesting to see how all this plays out, but I wouldn't be surprised if Godzilla vs. Kong gets pushed back from that November 19th release date to a later date, and then from there, I mean, there's a possibility that if this goes on for a significant amount of time, that Godzilla vs. Kong will go directly to streaming services, which would be unfortunate because I love the movie-going experience. I love the theater experience as well. There's nothing like it out there, experiencing the movie with a bunch of other people. But you can't beat, a lot of times, having, the comfort of your own home, enjoying a blockbuster movie. So there's both sides to the spectrum here, but I would love to see Godzilla vs. Kong in theaters. I think the scope of it and all of that, it deserves to be seen in a movie theater, and so I'm hoping that that definitely happens. And hopefully it sticks to this November 19th date. I think that there's going to be stiff competition at the movie theaters, but I think it's going to be a good thing because everyone's going to be wanting to go to the movie theaters to watch these movies. Of course, we got to be, stay safe and such, and, follow the protocols of what the movie theaters are stating, but I think it's going to be really good for the movie industry because there's going to be so much competition, and I mean, there's only so many eyeballs, but it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. So where is it? Well, guys, I believe Godzilla vs. Kong is finished at this point. Maybe it's getting some final touches, but it's planning on coming out November 19th, which means that this movie should be pretty much done at this point, and it hopefully will be able to stick to that release date, but I'll certainly keep you guys all up to speed as further information comes out. What is it you guys are most excited about in Godzilla vs. Kong? Let me know in the comment section below. And for more Godzilla vs. Kong content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. Bioshock is a franchise, guys, that is very unique, and it's an incredibly creative series. I actually think, guys, it's one of the most creative types of storylines that we've seen in all of gaming. It's just very out there. And each game is distinct, right? You're kind of, you're in the water, underwater cities, and then you've got, of course, you go up into the clouds, and in Bioshock Infinite, you've got, of course, these cities in the clouds, and it's very interesting how all of this and the Bioshock universe has been created now, and there's a lot of question marks now moving into Bioshock 4. And so what I want to talk about in this segment of the show is everything that we want in Bioshock 4. And when I say we, guys, I'm talking mainly about myself here because I'm the only one giving my opinion. I'm sure some of you are going to share similar opinions, but for those of you who don't, let me know what you guys want to see in Bioshock 4. So let's get into it. So guys, I think Bioshock, this is a franchise, like I said, that's had a lot of twists, a lot of turns, and all in all, sometimes I don't like the gameplay as much, or even really sometimes the mechanics of the game and how it, all the different functions and things of that nature within Bioshock. However, I respect the story in a major way. I think that this is a very well put together storyline, and I play it just to kind of see where they're trying to go with it. And I love how, Bioshock Infinite ended. I thought it was the best ending out of all three of the Bioshock games up to this point. And I think one of the biggest things for me was the surprises there, like the mystery that was there. And so I think that is something really that I want in Bioshock 4 is more mystery, more like, more doors to open, so to speak, more just worlds to explore essentially within this universe. I think that's the first thing. I mean, and what that really gets back to is I just want more Bioshock at the end of the day, guys. I think that many of us who really enjoy this series in one capacity or another really wants, like, kind of similar things, but we just want them to continue moving in a direction of where they're kind of going. And it's hard to say where it's going, right? There's a lot of mystery there, but that's what makes it so exciting in this series in particular. Now, with Ken Levine and that team no longer working on Bioshock, that leads to some concern, obviously, moving forward. However, I'm going to give the new developers the benefit of the doubt. I mean, we've seen what happens, guys, with many games out there, right? You look at games like, let's just talk Gears of War here. You got Gears of War, you had the first 3 games come out, the trilogy, and then, of course, Gears of War Judgment was kind of a downfall, but the core trilogy was incredible. Then you had Gears of War Judgment. And then, of course, the Coalition took over from Epic Games, who made the first games. And then, of course, they started off with the Gears of War Ultimate Edition, which was kind of like a remaster of the other, the games that had come before it. And then, of course, we had Gears of War 4 that came out. And that was their first real dive into it. And there was things that were right, there were things that were wrong. And then there were things, of course, the Coalition could do different moving forward. And then I felt like they really kind of started making more progress as they got to Gears 5. But sometimes for a new studio taking over a franchise that's as big as like Gears of War, Bioshock, Halo, things of that nature, I think you got to give them time. Because even with Halo, guys, with 343 Industries taking over from Bungie, there's some growing pains there. They're trying to figure it out, that being 343 Industries. And now we'll see with Halo Infinite how that looks. So I think we got to give it time. So, obviously that's just something kind of a side note here with Bioshock 4, that the new developers, just know that they're going to do their best to try to make this as good of a continuation of the original games. So the next thing that I really want, guys, going outside of the story, right? I mean, I think the last thing with the story would be the characters, right? Having new characters introduced, having some of the old characters coming back or back into the fray, I think would be really interesting. But outside of the story, I think what is really important is having multiplayer experiences and co-op experiences. It continues to build the franchise. I think it brings people back to the game over and over again. We talk about this about many franchises out there, right? And so I think it's really important that they were able to, as players, we can come back after the story's done. We can play with our friends. We can talk to our friends about it, play co-op modes, whether those are, co-op missions or play the campaign cooperatively, playing together in a multiplayer space, having, multiplayer modes, I think is going to be really important as well moving into Bioshock 4. Simply because, guys, especially with the next generation of consoles and all of that, I think it's going to be, I think Bioshock 4 could be primed for something like that, where you're getting a full package deal, and it's going to have to compete with these other games that are out there. And I think that's something else that you really are going to have to kind of look at moving forward here. The next thing, guys, and this might be a controversial one, and I've said this on a number of occasions for many games out there, and Bioshock's no different to me, is I would love to see Bioshock 4 free to play. And here's why. I look at the landscape of gaming, guys, and you look at all these AAA games that are coming out, and they're free to play, and look at how big the fan bases are. If you get on Twitch, just for example, to see how many people are viewing Bioshock, it's not very many. What I'm getting at here is that a free-to-play Bioshock game, if they had customizable items and things of that nature within the multiplayer and the co-op modes, even in the story mode, it would be justified for people to go in there and start, buying things like, ways in which the developers can make money outside of just a $60 price for a copy of the game. Most likely, guys, they aren't going to do this, but I would like to see it just because I think it would help Bioshock as a franchise continue its growth. The growth of the franchise and building the fan base, having more people streaming the game, more people making content around the game. I think those things would really help with a free-to-play game, because a lot of people out there would just think, hey, you know what, I'm just going to try it out. I wasn't planning on buying it. I've never played Bioshock in the past, but it's free-to-play. Let's try it out and see what's up with it. And just by doing that, it's going to help the franchise continue growth. And people who have never played Bioshock in the past, they're trying it out. So those are kind of my big things, guys, as far as what I want to see out of Bioshock 4. What do you guys want to see? What are the biggest things that you guys want to see changed or, stayed the same in Bioshock 4? Let me know in the comment section below. And for more Bioshock 4 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. Horizon 2 Forbidden West recently got announced, guys, and I wanted to talk about this game in particular and some of the things that we absolutely want out of this game, and I'm going to give you guys top 5 things that I want to see in Horizon Forbidden West. So let's talk about it. So guys, obviously this game getting announced, We knew it was coming at some point or another. We thought that Guerrilla Games would be working on, Horizon, a second Horizon over that of like a Killzone, a new Killzone game, even though there's a possibility that that will come out at some point or another. But Horizon Forbidden West, guys, after seeing the trailer, man, talk about something really, just spectacular as far as like the graphically and where the direction that they might be going in. But obviously there's going to be things that we want, right? And some of those things you guys may agree with when I tell you guys. Some of the things you may not. And I would love to know your top 5 things that you want to see. So guys, at number 1, the big thing for me is new characters, new enemies, and new environments. And it looks like all of those things are things that we're going to be able to do here in this second game. And so what I will say about it is this. From looking at the trailer itself, being able to go underwater is really cool. Looks like there's going to be like underwater cities and such. Very creative, and I love that concept that it looks like they're maybe where they're going. And I really like the idea that we're going to be visiting some new environments. Now, some of it looks pretty similar. Other areas look, totally different, like the underwater sequences. I just hope there's more of that so that even though we want it to feel and, play out like a Horizon game, but I just want to have like some differences, right? You don't want it to feel completely repetitive. That goes back to like the enemies as well. You want to have new enemies, and it looks like there's going to be some new enemies. Looks like some, some new allies. It also looks like there might be some, returning characters, obviously, and then there may be some new ones as well. So that's also really cool. So overall, it looks like they're going to be hitting on this, but I cannot, stress enough just the amount of diversity that needs to go into something like this, in my opinion, to just so it lands on all of those different fronts as far as the environments especially, and even the characters and the enemies, and I just think that that's really, really important. But at number 2, guys, is more customizable items. So what I mean by that, guys, is I think that throughout the course of Horizon 2, I would really like to be able to customize things a little bit more. Your character, being able to, customize like some of your weapons or like skins or whatever it is, cosmetic items throughout the course of the story. I just want to have a bigger amount of options as far as, customizable options, in my opinion, would be really special moving into Horizon 2. And that leads me to number 3, though, guys, which is multiplayer and co-op modes. Some of you might agree with this, some of you might not, but I say this on a number of occasions that multiplayer and co-op modes are going to bring you back to the game after you beat the single player story or the campaign in this, if this were to happen. The customizable items, they could have a ton of different options, right? But on top of that, if you added multiplayer and co-op, this is going to bring you back to the game after you beat the story. And I think that's really important. Think about it, guys. If you beat the story one time, you may go back and play it again and do like some side quests and things of that nature that you didn't do the first time around. And after you beat it a second time, you're most likely going to move on to another game. Well, in this way, multiplayer and co-op modes, you get to play with your friends, you get to play online by yourself or with your friends or with other people, whatever it might be. And this is a game that looks like it could be really good for multiplayer. It looks like it would be a lot of fun. And so I just think that a multiplayer experience could really help move this not only the story and the lore, but even building the community and the fan base around this game. Think about it. Guerrilla Games has made, as far as a multiplayer experience is concerned, they made Killzone. And those, that series did pretty well as far as from a multiplayer perspective. Obviously going up against pretty stiff competition in the first-person shooter space. But what I'm saying is that this is a special franchise. You can just tell that it's going to be a special franchise. So why not add more ways that we can connect with it? Bringing me into number 4, guys, kind of coming back to the campaign, I think what I'd like is to have a longer campaign. If you aren't going to do a multiplayer modes as well as co-op modes, please make it a longer campaign, more ways in which, like a longer story, longer, I think that it's important that if you're not going to have multiplayer modes and co-op modes, you got to be able to justify the $60 price tag, in my opinion, and just having like a 15, 16 hour campaign, I don't think that really does it. I think that We want something that you're coming back to on a consistent basis if you're going to be asking for the $60 price tag. I mean, look at a game like Call of Duty, right? You get like this 6 to 10 hour campaign, which is still very well done. And then on top of that, you get to come back and play the multiplayer experiences, co-op missions, whether that be zombies or Spec Ops. And you also get Call of Duty Warzone, which is one of the biggest battle royales right now, and it's all for $60. Whereas Horizon Zero Dawn, when that came out, you're basically getting a single player campaign for $60. And I mean, look, I'm not saying that it's not worth the money. I'm just saying that I would like more ways to continue, playing the game. Like, think of The Witcher and how long that game is. Think of Fallout, how long that game is. And all it is basically single player stories. So I want to see that, but in Horizon Zero Dawn, a longer campaign if you're not going to do multiplayer and co-op modes, because it justifies the $60 price tag. And coming at number 5, guys, this is going to be a controversial one for some of you, but I think it would be pretty awesome to see Horizon 2 free to play. And I think that, I don't believe this is going to happen, by the way, guys. I have no insider information or anything along those lines with Guerrilla Games. But what I will tell you is this, that a free-to-play Horizon 2 would be pretty big. I mean, it could be huge it's a PlayStation exclusive, so think about it. A PlayStation exclusive, you're already, cutting out having anyone from Xbox playing the game. So if you made it free to play on the PlayStation, you would have a lot of people at least try it out, and I think it could really build the fan base. If you go on Twitch, if you go on some of these other places where, there's streamers and such, Horizon Zero Dawn doesn't have a lot of streamers. Now, obviously, when there's hype being built up now that Horizon 2 got announced, there's going to be more streamers on there. But typically speaking, after the game comes out for a little while, if you don't have extra things that you can do throughout the course of the lifespan of the game, it's gonna, the viewership is gonna drop substantially. So I think a free-to-play model with multiplayer and co-op modes and having like a exciting story as well behind it, I mean, at the end of the day, guys, it's going to really grow this fan base. Because at the end of the day, if you're a big Horizon fan, why don't you want your, the community to grow so you get more games so that there's more people to talk to about it. There's more things to talk about than just the campaign. There's also multiplayer. There's also co-op. It just brings communities together when there's a bunch of other ways you can connect with it. And free to play, in my opinion, would absolutely do that. I mean, look at what it did for Apex Legends. It's making Titanfall bigger because of the success of Apex Legends. So I'm just saying a free-to-play Horizon 2 might be a pretty good idea. But let me know, guys, in the comment section below, would you guys want to see these things out of Horizon 2? Or what are your top 5 things that you want to see in Horizon 2? Let me know in the comment section below. And for more Horizon 2 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the 8 Below Show. And if you guys did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, and as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.